Hey everybody, Mike Steele here with BBQ Champs Academy live, and we've got a great show for you tonight. We've got one of the hottest SCA cookers around right now, Mr. Steve Conaway, part-time barbecue out of California. He had an outstanding weekend down in Mexico this weekend. We're going to hear a little bit about that as he hit first place in both Steak A and Steak B. And then we have the champ in the house, Mr. Luke Darnell, Old Virginia Smoke. Big-time East Coast cooker out of Virginia. We're going to be talking a little bit about Luke, the classes that we released for him on BBQ Champs Academy. If you haven't heard about it or seen about it, you will definitely after tonight. So we'll get a chance to talk to Luke. He is an incredible, I think he's a 3-time world champion, if I recall. And 2 or 3 times. He'll clear it up for me. You would think I would remember that after all the stuff that we went over. But we'll get a chance to talk to him as well. So, in the meantime, we're going to give everybody a chance to come in, tell us where you're from, and then we'll get started. It looks like we've already got about 15 folks on here. Gordon, of course, I knew you was going to be the first one. You're always first in attendance every week and week out. You would think I would have some kind of bonus surprise for you or something by now, but I don't. So just keep it rolling, brother. And that was pretty cool to see all those deer in your yard. I think you had 14 or 15 deer in your yard last night. That's got to be pretty cool to see. So appreciate you being with us. Rich, thank you for joining us tonight. Brody, thank you for being with us tonight, sir. And looks like you're still having a lot of fun out there cooking. Mr. John, we appreciate you being here. Mike from the hospital tonight. Hope everything's going well, John, and hope your tests turn out good. Hate to hear that you're in the hospital. Mr. David, thank you for being here. Congrats on that call this weekend. Yep, I had an opportunity. We'll talk a little bit about a couple of the barbecue competitions, but I got a chance to run up to Whitehall, Arkansas for a BCA competition that was put on. Then I tell you what, the folks at Whitehall, Arkansas rolled the red carpet out for all the cooks. They made sure all of our needs were met. The place was just spick and span, clean, very, very well-run organization or competition. Had an amazing time up there visiting with our South Louisiana barbecue friends. We had 3 or 4 of them that came up from South Louisiana, and it was always great to be able to see them. Huge congratulations to Brady Bodine. He grand championed it, and let's see, Jason White got reserve grand champion. I got 3rd overall. I had a huge first place brisket call and a 7th place rib. Man, chicken once again let me down, and but that's just the way it goes. I never had cooked. I had cooked in Arkansas one time, probably 9 years ago. I had only been cooking for probably a year, and I hadn't been back up there since. So we went up there. We had a great time. Got a chance to cruise around the town a little bit. Got some good food to eat. And we had a great time. So huge congratulations to him. Also, a lot of you know that the Royal Oak Invitational, the 4th annual Royal Oak Invitational up in Roswell, Georgia, was rolling out this weekend. And Chicken Fried Barbecue, one of our cooks, Mr. Bill Purvis, had a great weekend. Had 3 walks out of the 4 categories. Had a 4th chicken, 7th rib. 7th brisket, 7th chicken, 7th overall, a lot of 7s. But we do want to big congratulations to Razorback Barbecue. They had a huge grand champion. Rooters and Tutors got reserve grand champion there at the Royal Oak Invitational. So a lot of good teams that was there. I think there was 35 teams in attendance, and it was really a cool deal. I've heard it. They just absolutely rolled the red carpet out for all the cooks and everything. So anyway, we got Jeff on here as well. Good evening. Glad to have you here, Mr. Steve. Hey, brother, I have not seen you in a while. I know you're a big fan of Luke Darnell's, and I don't know what's been going on with you. I started to call you before the Jack to see if you was going to be around, but I'm going to have to get in touch with you one day and see how you doing. I haven't been seeing you cook a whole lot. Edward East, greetings from Nebraska. Thank you for being on our show tonight. We got Old Virginia Smoke not only in the house, but in the chat as well. So he'll be able to keep up with everybody. Also, Caitlin Crane, how are you doing? I know you had a lot of fun up at the Royal Oak Invitational as well. Not only do we have Steve in the waiting room, but we also have him in the comment section as well. So we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Mr. Denny Titus down in South Louisiana, got a chance to speak with him a little bit this afternoon. And glad to have you with us down in the South Louisiana area. Chuck, we appreciate you being with us. Mr. James, thank you for joining us tonight as well. Got folks steadily coming in. Hey, have you guys come in? Let us know that you're here. Heath, thank you for joining us. Larry, let's see where you're from. Afternoon from South Jersey. Wow. Man, we got them from coast to coast right now, and that's what we really do like. So, anyway, but it was a good weekend. A lot of good teams were out there cooking, and they got some big competitions coming up. We're off a week. Thank goodness. I have felt like traveling all over the United States. We was in the American Royal. I came back. I went to Longview, Texas, came back, went to the Jack, came back, went up to Arkansas, and I am definitely glad to just be chilling out this weekend and did not want to go back up. Where I was at, we was 10 miles from another competition. If you don't know about it, it's a KCBS competition in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, which is literally, there's a street that separates where we was at and Pine Bluff, Whitehall and Pine Bluff. KCBS competition is going to be paying $50,000. I think last year there was only 49 teams. I've heard they may have close to 60 this weekend, but I was just too tired, and I was like, I can't do it. I've got another competition to go to the following weekend, and I just kind of needed a break. So anyway, Darren, thank you for joining us tonight as well. So if anybody's looking for a big pay-in competition, especially in KCBS, be sure to go to KCBS's website, check out the cook in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. State championship, $50,000 is up for grabs. Stephen, thank you for joining us tonight as well. Anyway, well, let's get started on this show. We want to give a few minutes for people to come in. Want to thank our partners real quick, the barbecue store, Mr. Dustin Stanley. Thank them for all their stuff that they do for all of our customers and getting stuff out quickly. Mr. David with Gunnar Wilhelm Knives. Once again, I've said it, some of the best knives in the industry. Daigle's barbecue sauces and glazes. I love their product. And also, if you're ever needing ribs, especially Prairie Fresh, Raider Red Meats has got ribs and pork butt in Prairie Fresh. I think they even carry the Prairie Fresh Prime if you're a proponent of that. They've got them, so be sure to check them out. Well, let me get over here to this little screen. And first, we're going to bring this man in here right here, Mr. Luke Darnell, Old Virginia Smoke out of Virginia. So obviously, it's in the name. Hey, brother, how you doing?
I'm great, Mike. How are you today?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. It's finally I've got a chance to just relax this week and not do anything and not get prepared for another competition to take off and go out of town. So
I don't believe that for 1 second. I'm pretty sure you're like a bug on a hot rock, buddy.
I've been busy. That's for sure. I've been busy getting caught up from being gone for 4 weeks. So anyway, but Luke, man, it is great to have you on here. A lot of you may not know, but we released Luke Darnell's tell-all classes on BBQ Champs Academy at the beginning of this month. It was right after the American Royal, and I got a chance to get on his podcast, and we talked a little bit about it when we launched it. And I've been going all over the place, and I had one podcast since then, and I was trying to get over everybody from the Jack, since the Jack was the hot thing, and I was like, I got to get Luke on here this week. So Luke, thank you, brother, for being part of BBQ Champs Academy. Man, your class was absolutely amazing. I know you've sold a bunch of them already. People are buying them, and you're an awesome cook. Your classes was very straight to the point. That was one of the things that I loved. Ask a question, bam, got an answer, and you're a great teacher. And I think we brought out some good stuff. I think everybody that's getting this class, I've already had some feedback like phenomenal class, and I was like, that's a good one. So anyway, but we'll talk a little bit more about that, and we'll get to that here in just a second. I want to bring in another great SCA cooker, Mr. Steve Conaway, part-time barbecue. Hello, Mr. Steve. How are you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm great, Mike. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm off this week. I'm getting a little bit of rest, not much, So,
It feels good to reset, doesn't it?
yes, it does. Yes, it does. Luke knows me well. I burn the candle. It seems like at both ends, but you got to do what you got to do, and that's what we do. So, anyway, well, man, I want to congratulate you coming off of a flipping huge weekend down in Mexico, which I think was one of the first SCA cooks they've had down there. You show up, show out, and get a first place in both Stake A and Stake B, and just absolutely killed it down there. So congratulations.
Oh, thanks. It was great to be part of the Padilla Fest in Mexicali, and their inaugural event. I can't imagine anything better than the way it went down. Cooked with great friends and a lot of new cooks that are getting into the SCA. They had all new judges except for I think two from the States went over to judge. So,
okay,
look out. Mexico's coming in the SCA.
Wow, that's good. That's good. And we had kind of talked a little bit about, was there problems getting over the border and stuff like that? Tell us a little bit about where the competition was, and that being that inaugural event. Tell us a little bit about that, just so people know. Hey, it may be in Mexico, but it was right across the border. I do know that, and the whole process.
Sure. So, logistically. Mexicali is on the border. It borders up with Calexico on the California side. And the only thing that's required, as long as you stay, I think, within like 25 miles of the border, is a valid driver's license.
Okay.
And crossing into Mexico, they do just an automated check on some vehicles. They'll look in the car and send you on your way. And then coming back out of Mexico, you go through customs, border patrol, and literally that's show your ID, answer a couple questions. They wanted me to pop the tonneau cover, and they looked in the bed and sent me on my way. So
wow.
It really was a great experience at the Padilla Fest. They really put on a big show, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. How many people you think was in attendance?
So I've reached out to them today. They said 3,500, but I think that's severely under based on just the pictures that we took and the size of the event and how crowded it was.
Right.
But this was, I believe, was year number 4 for the Padilla Fest, and man, they know how to party. They know how
oh yeah,
great show. All live fire cooking.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was traditional smokers, which is good to see. But, the spectacle was a 700-pound steer on a rotisserie cooking for 20 hours.
Wow.
That was the show. And
wow.
It was a lot of fun.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Luke, have you ever been down to Mexico for any of those, like the one they do in Monterey where they're cooking the 100,000 pounds of beef over the 4 or 5 day event they got down there?
No, I have not been to Mexico for any cooking events. I've been there several times in my past life as a food lobbyist, but I've never been down for any kind of cooking or anything. But that's not to say that I wouldn't do it. I love Mexico, and I love different experiences going all over the world. So that'd be great.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
One of the things I didn't know about Mexicali is they said Mexicali is known for Chinese food. And
really?
I scratched my head, and so I just Googled it, and sure enough, there's over 345 Chinese restaurants in Mexicali.
Are you serious?
Dead serious. And Chinese food is what the locals do on weekends. And so we went out to a big Chinese meal with the directors of the Padilla Fest. Telling you, it's the real deal. It was really good.
How many people is in this town for 300 and some odd Chinese restaurants to be around?
I think about 800,000, I believe.
Holy cow. And 300 plus Chinese restaurants.
Every corner. It was easier to find a Chinese restaurant than it was a taqueria.
That is crazy. I never would have thought that. That's pretty cool. So
yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, I know you've been absolutely crushing it here lately, and obviously you had a pretty deadgum good weekend. So um, that's what about auto insurance? Let's see what he says. What about auto insurance? Will the U.S. companies cover your vehicle?
Right. Oh, well, that's a good question. So I called my agent, and he said um, they do cover if you're in Mexico. However, Mexico doesn't honor them. So they recommended you buy the Mexican car insurance before you cross over, and it's based off the value of your vehicle and where you're going. So I think, for anybody planning next year, I think driving a relatively new pickup, you're looking at about $75 for
Yeah.
2 days of full coverage insurance.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. Yeah, it's definitely best to get covered on both ends of the spectrum. So
Absolutely.
well, that's pretty cool. So what have you got coming up? You got any more big competitions coming up?
So I'll be participating in barbecue pit stop St. George double SCA double this coming Saturday,
Okay.
and that will be the conclusion of all the cooks here on the West Coast for this year.
For this year. Okay.
Nothing else scheduled.
Well, good. Well, man, congratulations on this big weekend. That had to feel pretty good on the inaugural event down there. So
yeah, it was pretty surreal, and just to be on a stage with that many people, it was fun. I'll just put it that way.
That's cool. Well, Mr. Luke Darnell, brother, I want to know a little bit about you now. We've had Steve on the show, gosh, I don't know, probably a year and a half ago, and we kind of heard his journey. I want to hear a little bit about your barbecue journey, how you got into this, how long you've been cooking, and I know you're did I get it right, 3-time world champion? 2-time, 3?
Depends on your definition.
Okay, you won chicken.
One chicken at the American Royal. Won the 2016 World Food Championships and was KCBS Chicken Team of the Year in 2017.
And Chicken of the Year, that's right. 2 world champions in the Team of the Year. That's what it was. So, well, how many years you've been cooking, and how did you get into it? Did you have a big influencer when you was young, that mom, dad, aunt, uncle that got you into cooking, at a early age, and then, you just always loved it, or how did you stumble into it?
Well, I've always been around cooking with my dad and his co-workers. My dad had a friend named Pat Mahey who was from Tonga, and he was an amateur boxer, but he also loved to cook whole hogs, and we would dig a hole in the ground and cook them in the ground.
Right.
And that was when I was pretty young, and that's how we kind of got into cooking outside. Fast forward to moving to Northern Virginia, when I met my wife, I started making barbecue outside.
Right.
And she came home one day from work and said, "Hey, I have a coworker whose husband runs a barbecue team, and they do competitions." I was like, "There's a thing like barbecue competitions, okay?" So I went and did some looking around, and all I had at that time were, you guys go back to your first cookers. You had the old electric smokers, the old little tiny thing you could buy at Lowe's, whatever. And I saw, it had to be charcoal and wood. So I started digging around and found out that a Weber Smoky Mountain was a good deal. And I found a really good cut price on a brand new one on Craigslist. I'm not sure how that happened, but then I had to go show up for an interview for the team. And I took that smoker with me, and the guy was like, "You're on the team."
Wow.
Turned out that was the best smoker we had on the team at that point. So that was around 2010.
Right.
And I did that for 3 years, and didn't have much input into what was going on. We weren't doing very good. And I'm kind of not built that way. We're going to do the same thing over and over again, and we're not going to succeed. Then we either need to make changes or find something else to do. So I remember the last time I cooked on that team, it was raining, and we took 4 cars worth of crap, and we didn't get any, not even out of the bottom third, and I told the guy I'm out.
Right.
I can't do this anymore. Came home and let it sit for a couple months, and my wife and best friend Leanne approached me and said, "We think that you should start your own team." And this was in the fall of 2012. So we spent all off season practicing, saving up our money, and said we were going to do 4 contests in 2013, and we ended up doing 7. Got our first calls, and
The rest was history,
the
huh?
rest was history. Yeah,
Yeah. So you started in 2013.
yeah.
So how did the name Old Virginia Smoke come about?
Well, I'm originally from West Virginia, Morgantown, West Virginia, home of the
Okay.
Mountaineers.
Yeah.
Don't judge us by our football program currently.
Yeah.
It is quite the disaster.
Yeah.
But and then I moved to Virginia in the spring of 2000. So I was talking with my brother, who's a creative guy and a graphic designer, and we were talking about potential barbecue team names, and he came up with Old Virginia Smoke, seeing as how the 55 counties from West Virginia left the state of Virginia to form West Virginia in 1863.
Right.
So, growing up in West Virginia and then living in Virginia, he thought combining the two back together would make for a pretty good barbecue team name. So
Right.
that's reflected in our logo, and it's always been something that's been a part of us, and we're proud to call both places home.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. So the general really runs the show, right?
For those of you who don't know, my wife Kim, she's known as the Little General. She's the other half of Old Virginia Smoke, and she is in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah. She does run the show.
Yeah.
It's doing this hobby is something where you have to have somebody reliable on your team. You have to have somebody who knows the process in and out, everything that you know, and Kim is that. And a lot of our adjustments and stuff to our taste profiles will come from her. She has a better palate than I do, so I have to rely on her a lot for that. And she's the best finisher in the world.
Yeah.
In terms of making sure presentations are top notch, making sure the boxes look great. A lot of the stuff that you'll see in our videos of BBQ Champs Academy is stuff that I learned by watching her on how to fix boxes and make them neat. So
Right.
You not only get the benefit of my knowledge, but also her OCD, persistence, and perfection.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that. My wife is OCD as well, man. Everything's got to be like perfect, So anyway, well, if you missed it, if you wasn't around earlier when we first came on, we have just released Luke Darnell's classes a couple weeks ago on BBQ Champs Academy. And I will take you over there to the page and kind of just show you real quick the page. You can go to BBQ Champs Academy on our homepage and scroll down the homepage. It'll have all of our barbecue pit masters listed. And we have Luke Darnell. And you click it and it'll take you over to Old Virginia Smoke. He's got a really cool library of videos. It's 34 videos, almost 7 hours, covering brisket, chicken thighs, pork butt, and ribs. It's $5.99 for the all access. Like he said, World Food Champion 2016, 2017 KCBS Team of the Year in Chicken, 2021 American Royal World Champion in Chicken, and I believe that was in the Open. Is that correct, Luke? Wasn't it in the
Yep,
Open?
that was in the Open.
In the Open, yeah. Over 36 combined Grand and Reserve Grand Champions, and there's the man himself, Superman, ready to get it done. So we saw that picture and we was like, we got to get that. So anyway, beautiful boxes. His chicken, his ribs. Your chicken thighs were some of the best chicken thighs that I've ever had. They were so flipping good, and I can see why you are definitely the chicken champ. Ribs were phenomenal. I know you cook Compart de Rock ribs, and we haven't had a whole lot of people through here cooking Compart. I think Mark Lambert did. Mm-hmm. Those ribs were amazing, and the pork butt Compart as well, amazing. But what I was truly surprised, and I'm going to have to give you props, is, us Texas, Louisiana boys, of course, I'm more of a Texas cook when it comes to brisket. And, we like to give the East Coast guys a hard time, like, really, brisket, blah, blah, blah. So I wasn't really expecting a whole lot with brisket, but I will have to say I was very, very impressed with your brisket, brother. I mean, it was a really, really good. It was packed. Let me just put it like that. It was packed with a very, very good amount of flavor. So, yeah, I was really, really excited with all the classes, the way that they turned out. As you can see, there's the ribs, there was the chicken. These are more close up. 9 videos on the ribs, chicken thighs, 9 videos there, 9 videos on the pork butt, 8 videos on the brisket, and very, very detailed. He cooks on a Jambo style cooker. So we always put this in here. He doesn't. He's not a drum smoker. Although the chickens were cooked on a Gateway drum. So, and I did put that in there. If you've ever wondered what the cooks cook on, a lot of times look in their bio down at the bottom underneath the classes. And I kind of give, he cooks more of that East Coast, Kansas City style barbecue. A lot of KCBS sanctioned events mostly. We cooked on an El Rey, which is just like the Jambo. Not a lot of difference. And man, just phenomenal. Your chicken process to me though was really like super simple, super easy to follow, and amazing flavor. So yeah, I mean, I was really, really happy with the way the whole class turned out. After, when we get done, they process all the videos, they send them to me, and I get a chance to take a look at all this stuff and make sure it's all laid out together. And man, like I said, I as anybody knows, if you've bought classes from me, I ask a lot of questions, and man, I'll ask you a question, it's boom. I mean, you just fire the answer away, and it's very detailed, right to the point. And I never had sometimes I'll have to re-ask the question or rephrase the question because I'm trying to get another answer out of you. Like, I really want more of not another, but more of a detailed answer. Man, you gave me detailed answers every time. So it was really amazing. So
thank you. It's one of the things that we've really tried to do with our program, which is, at its heart for us in terms is making it simple.
Right.
And one of the things that we've learned throughout our 11 years of cooking barbecue is that improving your scores generally does not involve adding anything to your recipe. Yeah. It generally involves taking something away or going back to basics. Right, Steve? You would agree.
Focus on the protein.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So whenever we teach what we do, and we 100% taught what we did,
right,
and we do every time we teach, is simplicity. Keep it simple, stupid. Simplicity. Stay true to your flavors. Make sure you've got good meat to start, and success is right around the corner. So we want all of these things to be very approachable as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And answering questions is also a big part. Like in the comments right there, Danny said must be using Purdue chickens, and I'm like, nope, Springer Mountain Farms. We're an open book, I'll share it all. Let's go.
Yeah. Springer Mountain chickens and Compart Duroc pork products, 100%. Yep. So, and Jim's got some amazing product, no doubt. That's probably somebody I do need to get on the show one day. I'd love to have Jim on the show. I think it would be great because he does have some very, very good hogs. So
it's we switched to it this year, and the first couple times I cooked it, after I got used to it, I would tell people, like my friend Steve Dotson, who's on today, I'm like, this is like a cheat code for barbecue.
Yeah.
Like, this stuff tastes amazing.
It is good. I was very surprised at the Compart rib. If anybody doesn't know, is not a big, thick, meaty rib like a Prairie Fresh. It's a lot smaller rib. They're probably 2 1/4 or 2.75 pounds. Man, if you get one that's at 3 1/4, man, that is a monster rack, right? And yours were probably around a 3-pound rack. They're not big ribs. They got a lot of marbling in them. They're not super thick. And the first thing I'm thinking is when I bite into this rib, it's going to probably have this dry, mealy taste to it. That I really thought that was going to happen. And I'm not going to give away temperatures or where you cook these things to, and I don't want to because they need to buy the class for that. That's your techniques. And I'm thinking, man, this rib is not going to be that good, and I mean, how good is this thing going to really be? Man, I was blown out of the water. I took a bite of that rib, and I looked at you. I was like, man, you got to be kidding me, really? And the flavor, and the juiciness, and the tenderness of that rib. Man, I'm telling you, it was a good rib. So I will give you hats off to that. You definitely know how to cook an amazing rib. So, and not just, I ain't just saying that's all you know. Your chicken was by far one of the best, and I'm gonna give you props on that brisket too. So, I was like, man, I'm gonna get to razz him a little bit on about this brisket, man. I took a bite of that brisket, like I said, and I was like, I ain't gonna get to razz this guy.
And
so,
folks, he really did think he was going to get into me a little bit.
Oh, I did. I was like, okay, brisket, huh? That's East Coast cooker, Virginia. Yeah, come on, brother. Man, I was like, wow. You know, that brisket's packed with some flavor. It really was packed with some flavor. So,
hey, Luke, is that Springer Mountain chicken? Is that like organic, air chilled chicken?
It's not organic. It is air chilled.
Okay.
It's out of Georgia, and it's also, I mean, you can find it, you know, Springer Mountain is the brand. You can find it as that brand, but it's also in some store brands around the East Coast as well. And you can get it shipped frozen as well. So it's readily available through their website. It's a little expensive, but I know you can find it in different retailers around the country.
Right.
Yeah. California probably have to have a Prop 65 cancer warning before they could import it. But
probably so. Probably so. Do you do a lot of barbecue competitions, Steve? Part-time barbecue?
Well, that's actually where we started in 2013. And,
right.
We earned a first brisket 180 pin in 2014.
Okay.
And our last cook as a team was October 2019, and I think our score was 702, and grand champion the event and qualified for the Royal. But then our team had some pretty serious issues, and COVID hit. So actually, we never went, and we haven't cooked a KCBS since then.
Yeah, and when all that shut down, that's where the SCA shined, man. They stayed open, and that's when you got into the SCA, wasn't it? Was right around then?
Yeah, I started SCA 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, so they had an event in San Diego, and they were full on the KCBS side. And I said, well, yeah, let's throw some gear together, go cook a steak. And actually, then it was the ancillary was taco, and went down there and was fortunate to get 2 calls, and I was hooked.
Right. Wow. Yeah. That's interesting.
Fun ride.
Yeah, that's interesting. Have you ever done an SCA, Luke, or have you just stuck to the barbecue stuff?
I've done a few SCA contests. Usually when they've been involved at barbecue contests on a Friday night.
Yeah.
I've never really taken them seriously.
Right.
That's for me. It's just more fun.
Yeah.
Cooking steaks against some friends and stuff. I finished second in one once.
Right. That's good.
Me and Jerry Stevenson set up a wrestling ring in the middle of the street in Wise, Virginia, and cooked steaks head to head. We had a crowd talking smack at each other the whole time.
Yeah. And, there you go.
Yeah. I had one person to beat that day, and I finished second, and he finished first.
Oh, God. Oh, wow. I thought, like, you got him. Nope, he got first.
Oh, they called my number, and I was talking all kinds of trash. And
I bet.
His number whenever I was walking back, and I fell down laughing so hard. It was a good time.
That sounds like our first KCBS event. It was in Fillmore, California, in our hometown. And we broke all the rules that we didn't know we shouldn't. We had friends that were there eating dinner and partying all night. Security had to tell us to keep it down. And I was on the city council at the time. I had the police chief, the fire chief, the city manager, and we were the ones creating all the ruckus. We made our turn-ins and we were happy. We ran home and showered and combed our hair because we knew we were getting walks. And
right.
I'll say we didn't come in dead last. Thankfully, there was one other team. And, that started the whole, what in the heck is going on?
Yeah,
it's the whole learning curve, right?
Yeah.
It's an incredible thing, man. It's I remember, since we're talking about a barbecue class in fall of 2013, after our first season was almost over, my friend Mark Gibbs called me and said, "Hey, I bought this seat at a barbecue class up in Boston with a team called IQ. I
Oh yeah.
can't go. Do you want to buy it from me for, I forget what he was selling it for me for, to like 30-40% of what he paid for it, but I had to figure out a way to get to Boston that weekend and find a place to stay and do all that." And I was like, "What's a barbecue class? Like, there's such a thing as a barbecue class, right?"
Yeah.
And so I had miles and flew up to Boston and slept in a car and went to this guy's house. And turns out he's a cookbook author and one of the best cooks of all time. And I got to sit in his backyard. And after about 30 minutes, I was like, wow.
Wow. Yeah.
There's no greater leap in knowledge from when you start cooking competition barbecue to taking your first class. And I don't care if it's in person or online or however you do it. The amount of knowledge and the way you can adjust the learning curve is incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
I think in today's scene of competition, I mean, let's face it, BBQ Champ has changed the landscape in SCA cooking. I know well over 600 different teams have taken classes in the SCA, well over 600. And a lot of those guys have taken 2-3 classes, and it's the techniques, like you said, it's the techniques, it's the things that you learn. Not to mention barbecue. Good Lord, I can't even tell you how many is in barbecue. I quit counting after 100 grand and reserve grand champions. That was about 2 years ago, well over 100. Thousands of people in the top 10 with calls. And I think you're right. It's just that little knowledge that you get and the techniques. And, I think it was Fred Robles that said, if you're not taking a cooking class once a year from somebody once a year, you're going to get left behind, because this stuff is constantly changing, and different techniques and different things and different recipes. It's not just the recipes. The recipes is a very, very, very small part of it. It's the techniques. And wouldn't you agree with that, Luke and Steve?
Yeah, I would. I think the undercurrent of the whole thing is you actually get better education online than you do in a class.
Yeah.
And I flew back to Kansas City and took Tim and Brad's class on Gateway Drum hot and fast cooking, and our scores took off after that, and it was well worth the money. But nowadays, I can go back and jump on BBQ Champs and review every class that I purchased and watch them over and over again. And each time I watch, I learn something. And when you go to a class, I'm looking for my notes and trying to make sure I get everything, because they have a lot of material they got to go through, and you don't get everything. So education's actually better online for sure.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people that kind of told me that, at first, when we first came out, for the first probably year and a half, 2 years, it was, I'll learn more if I go to an in-person class. I know I will. But then all of a sudden they go to an in-person class and they have taken our class and they're like, man, I forgot 40-50% of the stuff that they even told me in that class. And I never lose that with BBQ Champs. I can go back. So if I can't even duplicate half the stuff that they did, I'll never get the results that they did, and they're always worried about the taste. Well, I won't get to taste it. It don't matter about the taste. I mean, if you can't even get the technique, the cooking, and the tenderness down, you're never going to have that anyway. And I remember one time, I think it was Rick Manzi, and I know Rick. He's an incredible SCA cooker. He also does a lot of good barbecue cooks as well. And Luke, you may know him. I know he cooks.
Oh, I know him very well.
Super awesome guy. And I remember him telling me he taught Corey Mike's class. And I remember a conversation that we had. He said, I have watched Corey Mike's class, and every time I have watched it, and I think it was in the brisket, he said, I've watched it 4 times now, and he said, on the 4th time, I saw a technique that he did that I didn't even catch the first 3 times. And I'm watching it. And I was like, really? He said, man, there was just this one little thing that he did. And I was like, how in the world did I miss that? And he said that to me was the the crowning moment of me of realizing, man, I can go back and watch these and I can duplicate what these guys are doing. So,
absolutely, Steve, you said you took that class in Kansas City.
I did.
I think we took it together.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. My teammate was with me, and he was on a walker or a roller scooter. He had his foot broken, and he was scooting around, and we sat on the back left-hand side.
Yeah, wow.
It was cold, and Tim was still wearing flip-flops out in the sno.
Surprise.
I mean, Brad, not Tim.
Brad. Oh, yeah, Brad. That sounds about right. Brad would probably run around barefooted. He's probably got calluses a half-inch thick on his deadgum feet. So, who's the guy that's down in Texas? Is it Ryan that we call him barefoot?
Reagan,
that's it. I seen Reagan in Corey Mike's trailer last year. Man, he don't even need shoes. He's got calluses that are like an inch thick on his deadgum feet. I'm like, man, I'd be tiptoe. He's walking across a hot parking lot. I'd be crying all the way to the trailers. So, oh goodness gracious, Steve. That's funny. Yeah. It really is. So Steve Dotson.
We got one of the guys in the chat, Eduardo Barbecue.
Yep.
He won tacos down in Mexicali, and he cooked a bacon-wrapped octopus taco.
Oh my gosh! Let's see. Here it is. I've reviewed BBQ Champ Academy classes at comps at different times. He's actually watching the classes at a comp. That's a pretty good way to do it. Yeah. So he took a bacon-wrapped octopus. Wow.
Yep.
And made taco. That's amazing. That is awesome. Let's see, Steve Dawson. I took BBQ Champ Academy class. He took Corey's class. He has done tons of reviews for us for that, and he's probably sold more classes for Corey on the East Coast than anybody. Took Luke Darnell's class before my first master class in KCBS. I had 3 700 and got to go to the Jack in the Royal my first season. Yeah, and that was awesome to watch, Steve. What is? I haven't talked to him. You probably have kept up with him because he's over there. Where's he at? I ain't even seen Steve cooking this year.
Steve's been cooking with a friend of his, David Dick. They've been doing some contests here and there. Steve's had some family stuff and a lot of work stuff going on this year, so he kind of dialed it back a little bit.
Couldn't go. Okay.
But he's just one of those guys
he's awesome.
He's like a sponge too. And when you mentioned that both of you guys have mentioned that you can take these classes online and that they're better, it's because you can go watch them and pick up different things. Mm-hmm. And if Steve is anything, he's an incredible learner.
Yeah.
And he's also very good at parsing knowledge and figuring out what works for his cook. So, there's several ways to look at taking a class. First is to get off the ground level, increase your knowledge a bunch. Then it's, trying to learn those 2 or 3 things per category that can help get you a call. Mm-hmm. Because once you win a category from something you learned for a class, you paid for that class.
That's right.
So when you think about the investment of a class, you're like, yes, that's a lot of money, but think about that time that you win brisket or you win chicken or you get that first GC, then you've tripled your investment in the class, and that's something that's going to keep you going throughout the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The cost of one class. I'm not a shill for Mike and BBQ Champs. I'm just a user, like a lot of people. But the cost of the class is less than the cost of 2 domestic Wagyu briskets in a time to cook it.
Yeah,
so, I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we know the classes work. It's there's just no doubt. And when we start getting people, giving us reviews and telling us something, I mean, I'm going to just share this one post this one that we put up on our Facebook page the other day. And man, this guy has just been absolutely killing it. And Hunt Blackledge, what a day. We got our 4th backyard grand champion of the year, the 3rd since taking Bill Purvis's online class with BBQ Champs Academy. So the wrap up is he had a first place chicken, a third place rib, and a first place pork. And man, that's pretty good. In his boxes, you can tell. I mean, everything looks amazing. And when we get those kind of results, when we hear that, man, it makes me feel great to know that we got a platform to help people grow their barbecue, right? And that was my whole envision behind this. And it makes the pit masters feel good to knowing that, man, I was able to give somebody the tools and the skill set and the knowledge they needed to either help them get their first grand champion or to continue to just grow and get more knowledge. And Hunt's on here. Thank you. I mean, Hunt, I really appreciate you allowing us to share that.
No,
man, congratulations, man. I mean, that is flipping awesome to be able to take that knowledge and go and either hone your skills. I don't know exactly how some of these guys had always done. I don't know if he'd ever had any grand champions before. He may have. But man alive, to say I took somebody's class and had 3 grand champions right after taking a class, it's obviously there was something that he picked up in the class, because man, to knock out 3 GCs in KCBS is not the easiest thing to do. So, and that to me is what we really like. You know, we get excited about that. We don't always get to share it, and you know, and a lot of people may be sitting on the fence, and for them to say stuff like that, to let people know. There was somebody was in one of the message boards the other day, and I think, Luke, I saw you comment, and I think it was new competitions or up and coming competition forum that's on Facebook, and somebody had posted, you know, hey, what about these classes on BBQ Champs? And man, I don't know, there was probably at least a dozen or half or so of people jumping on there like, man, you ain't gonna go wrong taking those classes. You know, I don't even have to say anything. Like, let the customer say it, you know. So yeah, here it is. He had 1 prior, but the classes teach consistency, you know, so that's pretty good. He had 1, and then he rolled off 3 straight. So, and that's really good. I mean, that's what we want. We want to see people taking these classes that go out, they do good, they take another one, they learn more. And I think the guys that are taking them 2 and 3 classes, man, they're able to really put together some stuff that's, you know, it makes it difficult to win when you're cooking against somebody like that. You know, you got 3 world champions that you've done learn from, and you take little techniques. Okay, he's not doing that, and he's not doing that. Good, and I can incorporate them too, because it's really not hurting. They're not conflicting with anything. And man, next thing you know, man, you've got some knowledge under your belt that would have taken you years to learn. And like you said, for the price of a couple Wagyu briskets, you've got all that knowledge. So,
yeah, not to mention just the boost in confidence that the education can give anybody. Right? You can go from that backyard division up to the pro division, or you could jump in full force in SCA and hold your own.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. So, well, it's really cool to see that and to have people, you know, sharing that kind of information, because it really makes us feel good. It helps me a lot, especially it did in the beginning, because, you know, I want to make sure that the platform that we put out is very educational for people to understand and to learn, you know. And I'm asking more questions. I watch the videos myself when I get done, and they're all filmed, and they send them to me. I've got an amazing film crew, and then I'm watching these and putting edits and stuff and putting all the pop-ups in. And as I'm just listening through them, I'm trying to make sure that, am I really getting all that information? Am I asking the questions right to get the pit master or the steak grill master to answer it in a way that it's helping the person that bought the class, right? And to me, that's what my role is in the whole thing. Is I want to get the information, I want to get it out of them, and I want to get it taught in such a way that they can really understand what's going on. And I try to really do a good job with that. And a lot of people say, man, they're entertaining, and it's just simple. I mean, it's just right to the point. So
worked for me.
Yeah, prime example. Yeah, you've definitely won a few, that's for sure. So, well, Luke, what have you got lined up for the next couple months that we've got lined up for 2023?
Well, we're getting heavy into the holidays starting up here, and that's really practice time, even for someone that's cooked for 10 years, and really getting ready to to jump into 2023, both feet. We were working on our schedule today, and we're going to do some cooking down south. Might even be a Texas contest in there. Yeah. So you wave it on, big boy.
Come on,
wave
baby.
it on.
Where are you cooking in Texas?
I think I might come down and do one of Fred's contests.
There you go. That'd be awesome.
So, yeah,
that'd be good.
I can't remember which one it is. That's the big one, though.
It's the big one. Okay. Yeah, that one, big world champion one. They're invitational, I think is what they call it.
Yeah, I want to come down there, and it's one of the funny things that having a food truck like we do, people always ask us, oh, how's your brisket compared to Texas? I'm like, why don't you ask all those guys I beat every year at the Royal and Brisket?
At the Royal and Brisket. I will tell you, he does have a good brisket. And I think with that brisket, I think you got a pretty good chance down in Texas with it. It did have really good flavor.
I went and looked it up on barbecue data while we were talking. I've gotten more calls on brisket than I have in any other meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had in 244 contests. I've gotten 137 brisket calls. So
wow, that's pretty. That's pretty strong, man. Wow.
And brisket's the reason I got into barbecue. It's my favorite thing to cook. It's the hardest thing to cook, and it's still the thing every weekend when we're out there. That's what I look forward to.
Yeah, I love the brisket, man. It's
the most satisfying when you make that first cut.
Yeah.
You do the little test, see if you like it, and then as soon as it hits you, it's like, when you hit it, and it's good.
And it's just one of those things when the Snake River Farms boxes show up on the doorstep, I get giddy.
Yeah.
It's like, man, what have we got in here? And I just love cooking them. And then Toby Grimmett just joined us, another one of my students from the past, and he's just an incredible cook in his own right.
Yeah.
And he came and took the class. He's done a few pro contests this year, done really well. And that, like you were talking, Mike, seeing students do well, it's a whole different kind of awards experience. They get calls and you're happier than if you got a call. And it's until they start kicking your butt, and then you're like, okay, now I'm going to need to.
Yeah, I got to go do something. I got to go figure something else.
Some of these guys, man, some of these guys got it figured out. They're doing really good, and I couldn't be more happy for them.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know about you, Luke, but I mean, in the competitive nature of things, you get beyond trying to beat your friends, and you focus on, I'm going to beat judges.
Absolutely.
You support your friends.
That's right.
To me, that's
100%.
That's what I enjoy, supporting my friends and seeing their success. But I'm trying to beat judges.
Right. Kevin Walker, with your brisket, do you always cook Wagyu or do you do some prime?
I always do Wagyu.
Okay. Pretty much we'll have to with KCBS. So
KCBS showing up with a prime, I know it can be done, but
it's harder.
I feel like it's showing up to a gunfight with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
If I came with a prime. So
yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
What you just said, Steve, was important. It's cooking against the judges, but I think it's also cooking against yourself.
Oh yeah.
You are.
And that's the one thing that I've really gotten I don't look at team sheets anymore because I don't care who's there. It doesn't matter who's there. It matters if I do it right.
That's it.
And if I do it right, I think
I'm going to be your own harshest critic to improve. But you got to be honest with your own cook.
Oh my gosh, you couldn't have said anything better. Yeah, that's the number one thing people can do to be better cooks is to be honest with yourself. Yeah. If it's bad, acknowledge that it's bad and acknowledge how to. And then I'll go back to one of my favorite quotes from my podcast from Mike Wozniak with QL. Take your worst meat, make it your best meat.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to do this off season. I'm going to take my worst meat. I'm going to make it my best meat.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to take that advice on my chicken because I have crushed brisket all year long, and ribs have done pretty well. But, man, chicken has just been – and I don't know. I had a really good run with chicken last year, and that chicken has flown the coop. So, Oh goodness, and that's but
I know
you're
a
right.
good chicken
That's,
class for you.
yeah, I know it. I know it. You would think I would just go take it. Everybody's like, "You got 100 classes." Like, I won't use it. I won't use them. I won't use them. I won't use them. So, where's the best place to get your Wagyu? Snake River Farms. So, and we are talking about with Snake River Farms. So, be looking for that. Trying to get a discount for everyone. So, I did talk to one of the young ladies there at the Jack, and Amanda. Is her name Amanda?
Anella.
Anella. That's it. So she's the marketing girl. She gave me her card and she said, "Call me. We'd love to work with you guys." So
Anella is the meat maven.
yeah,
So
it's
I
her.
will also work with her.
Yeah,
And talk to her about this as well. So
yeah.
I don't know if a lot of the KCBS cooks know or the backyard people know,
Mr.
but
Brisket.
KCBS, you bring your own protein, right? So if you're not bringing that Wagyu, you're outgunned.
Yeah.
But in SCA, the promoter brings the protein, so it eliminates the arms race,
Yep.
if you will.
Yep.
Everyone's cooking the same quality from the table. So that's one of the differences between SCA and KCBS and some of the other barbecue bodies.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 100%. Well, guys, I appreciate it. Let's see. Thanks. I always like great info on this podcast. We appreciate it, Al. Steve, who you want to thank, brother? You got any sponsors?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So Hasty Bake Grills, Papa's Premium Charcoal, of course, Deadbird 180, DB 180, Will Collier. Out of California, Fire Cups, best little fire starters on the market. I'm proud to say that I'm an ambassador for the Meatrix system for cooking steaks and proteins, and Wicked Pig Aces Wild. So
there you go.
Big fan of all those products. Appreciate their support. It really has helped me achieve a lot of goals that I had on my bucket list. So
that's awesome. Well, congratulations, Steve, man, and congratulations on a huge weekend this weekend. So,
yeah, thank you.
Always glad to have you on our show. All right,
always fun.
Mr. Luke, what you got, brother?
Oh my gosh, where to start? BBQData.com. They're fantastic. We got Snake River Farms, Compart, Family Farms, Blues Hog, Gateway Drum Smokers, Big Papa Smokers, some of the best rubs on the planet. I mean, their products really have changed the game, and it's been a lot of fun to work with all of our partners and to get to get their message out, and it's products that we all believe in. So, and I look at them as partnerships. We all work together, and there's what made us successful. So it's very cool. And thanks for letting us be on here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I've enjoyed it. It's great. I love getting the steak and the barbecue guys together. I've got to start doing that more often. It's just been a hectic, 2 weeks coming up, or 2 months coming up to the Royal. We was really trying to do everything about the Royal, but we're making our shift now, getting into more of the steak cookers and stuff like that. So we're going to keep working at that and keep doing that. I hope everybody's enjoyed our podcast. Thank you two gentlemen for taking just a little bit of your time out to be with us tonight, to sit in front of a computer screen and talk about barbecue and steak. I've always loved doing that. I hope everybody's enjoyed this class. Let's see. Anyway, we hope that everybody has enjoyed what we do, enjoyed the classes and everything else. And as we always close out, y'all go out there and have a good week for the rest of your week. Have a lot of fun and smoke on.